як ви знаєте, зараз в Україні з візитом перебуває голова парламенту Троен, Норвегія називається, парламенту Королівства Норвегії, пані Тоне Вілхелмсен Троен. Вона сьогодні присутня на зустрічі з нами. Давайте привітаємо. Честь сьогодні приймати делегацію в цьому складі, а до неї входять ряд представників парламенту, депутатів парламенту Норвегії, присутній з нами разом в президії шановний посол Норвегії в Україні, пан Оле Тер'є Хорлестед.
To welcome the delegation from the Kingdom of Norway here in our university, and also we have the Ambassador Ole Hoppestad, the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Norway to Ukraine.
Пані президент отримала освіту в Осло, навчалася в Лондоні, а з 2014 року є членом парламенту Королівства Норвегії, а з 2017 року очолює цей парламент як президент.
I would like to say that President Troen was quite a distinguished member of the political sphere in Norway, and she studied in Oslo and London and joined the Norwegian Parliament in 2014, and in 2018 she became the President of the Parliament.
Це її перший візит до України, і в рамках цього короткого терміну вона знайшла можливість, відгукнулася на наше запрошення і сьогодні присутня разом з нами в цьому прекрасному залі. Тож привітаємо її ще раз і подякуємо за цю честь.
This is the President's first visit to Ukraine, and we would like to thank her for her visit and for pursuing the cooperation with us.
Перш ніж надати слово пані президенту, я хотів би кілька слів сказати, що у нас дуже тісні, хороші, дружні стосунки в цілому між країнами, між Королівством Норвегія і Україною. І ми знаємо тверду позицію Норвегії в питаннях, які хвилюють сьогодні нашу Україну. Це насамперед в питаннях захисту незалежності і свободи нашої держави, в питаннях подальшого розширення співробітництва в галузі економіки і взагалі в цілому широка підтримка Норвегії Україні у вирішенні всіх тих актуальних питань, які сьогодні стоять перед нашою державою.
I would like to note Norway's close cooperation with Ukraine, its efforts to support Ukraine in this difficult and challenging time for us, and especially we know that Norway stands with Ukraine in the highly important questions pertaining to Ukraine's independence and sovereignty, and also economic cooperation, for which we are extremely grateful.
І цю незмінну позицію Норвегії пані президент заявила на зустрічах на самому високому рівні, тут уже в Україні, і на зустрічі з президентом Петром Порошенком, з прем'єр-міністром Володимиром Гройсманом, з іншими урядовцями, з якими проходять ці зустрічі. І за це, думаю, всі повинні дякувати і Норвегії, цілому державі Норвегії, і, зокрема, і парламент Норвегії, і саму пані президент, яка є очолює, проводить неухильно цю політику.
Norway stated its firm position towards Ukraine, both at the President's meeting with President Poroshenko and with Prime Minister Groysman, and particularly in all those meetings that again certify to its firm position and support for Ukraine.
І, звичайно, в рамках цієї такої дружніх стосунків я хотів би кілька слів буквально сказати про те співробітництво, надзвичайно ефективне, плідне, яке сьогодні ми маємо університету нашого і, насамперед, університету Норд норвезького.
And I would like to stress the importance and the wonderful way that our university cooperates with the University of Nord.
До особливо потужного імпульсу набуло це співробітництво 13 жовтня 2016 року, коли в Норвегії в присутності нашого президента, керівництва Норвегії, була підписана угода про подальше співробітництво між нашими університетами.
And And this cooperation was highlighted on October 13, 2016, when the president of Ukraine, while visiting Norway, signed an agreement which further strengthened and highlighted the future cooperation between the two universities.
В рамках цього співробітництва до 50 чоловік, студентів, викладачів, аспірантів нашого університету щорічно відвідують університет Норд для участі в стажуванні, конференціях, таке інше. І ми приймаємо водночас і в таких же приблизно кількістях студентів, викладачів, аспірантів із університету Норд, що, звичайно, поглибло, розширює наше співробітництво.
And as you know, annually approximately 50 members of academic staff, students and postgraduate students on the part of Ukraine, just as on the part of Norway, participate in academic exchange, which also includes the participations in conferences and joint research.
Ми сьогодні на цю зустріч високо запросили студентів, аспірантів, викладачів, які брали безпосередню участь в рамках цього нашого обміну, який здійснюється між нашим університетом, вони присутні тут в цій залі.
And the students who have already participated in this exchange are also present here in this hall.
Я думаю, вони могли багато розповісти про ті теплі зустрічі, про ту надзвичайно комфортну обстановку, яку вони відчувають, коли відвідують університет наш побратим Нурд. Я думаю, що ми з нашого боку будемо робити все, щоб ці зустрічі завжди були теплими, ефективними і дружніми.
And on our part, we can say that it's the students who will tell about their impressions, about their experience when participating in this academic exchange. But on our part, I would like to say that we will do our utmost to support further cooperation with our partner university.
Ну і на закінчення скажу, що найбільш активно тут беруть участь у цьому співробітництві це наші факультети економічні насамперед, механіко-математичний, інститут геології і факультет комп'ютерних наук і кібернетики.
And I would like to say that the most active participants in this exchange are the representatives from the Faculty of Economics, Mechanical and Mathematical Faculty of Geology, and also the Faculty of Computer Sciences and Cybernetics.
Але, кажуть, немає межі досконалості, ми будемо надалі нарощувати наші зусилля у розширенні цього співробітництва, залучати інші факультети, інститути. Це те, що якраз буде відповідати нашим прагненням, зміцнювати нашу дружбу, співробітництво і во ім'я наших народів.
But, you know, they say that there is no limit to perfection, and therefore we will further extend our cooperation to other faculties and units of the university, and in general do our best to strengthen and support the friendship and cooperation between our two universities.
На цьому дозвольте закінчити моє таке вступне слово коротке. Ще раз привітаємо, давайте, наших високих гостей, і я запрошую до слова шановну пані президенте.
With this, I will end my speech and give the floor to President Troen.
Thank you so much, dear principal and distinguished students. I am honored to be here at the renowned Shevchenko University and to meet all of you today. I'll just wait. You understand? I can just speak? Okay. Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much. I know that this is one of the most respected institutions in all of Ukraine. As a president of the Storting, the Norwegian Parliament, I have a special interest in the role of young people in our democracy, which is why I am so glad that our official visit to Ukraine could include a meeting with you students in order to hear your views and your perspectives. After all, the way you look at Ukraine and the world will be essential to shaping your own country. Dear Principal, I'm therefore very grateful that you have organized this event for us. I am in Ukraine on the generous invitation of Mr. Andriy Parubi, the chairman of the Verkhovna Rada. I have brought with me quite a large delegation representing 3 different political parties in our parliament. And you will see them and meet them later on in the meeting. And actually, I am no less than the third official visitor from Norway this month alone. 2 weeks ago, our foreign minister was here, and last week, our Minister of Trade and Industry visited Kiev. The general backdrop to Norway's substantial engagement for Ukraine is the dramatic events following the Maidan revolution in 2014. Norway then joined the EU and US in condemning Russia's annexation of Crimea and Moscow's violation of international laws in eastern Ukraine. We have also joined the EU and US-led restrictive measures against Russia. Since 2014, Norway has also supported Ukraine's internal reform process in a number of ways, both financially and practically. After a visit to Ukraine by our Prime Minister, Erna Solberg, in 2014, a so-called support package for Ukraine was launched. Through this package, Norway supports Ukraine's energy sector reform, judicial reform, governance, and economic reform. The Storting has contributed actively to the development of Norwegian-Ukrainian relations during the past 4 years. In 2014, the presidents of the Nordic and Baltic parliaments took the initiative to support the ongoing reform of the Verkhovna Rada. This was before my time as president. I took over only in March this year. The initiative was taken by my predecessor as president, Mr. Olemic Thommessen, who I am happy to have with me in my delegation here today. Probably the most visible results of this cooperation has been study trips for members of the Verkhovna Rada to our Storting in Oslo. We have organized such visits on 3 occasions. The last one took place in April this year. The aim has been to show the Ukrainian MPs how our parliament and our democracy works, with the hope that they might find some inspiration from our system in their efforts to reform the Rada. Through the study visits and various other meetings, a considerable percentage of the Rada's current members have been visiting the Storting. So why have Norway and the Storting undertaken these efforts to support a country with which we used to have relatively limited contacts? Well, first of all, and I should be as honest as to admit, that our engagement has not been completely without self-interest. The development of a strong, democratic, prosperous, and transparent Ukraine does not only benefit Ukraine alone, but also Europe as a continent and Norway within that. The serious violations of international law that have defined the conflict in Ukraine are a continuing concern. We cannot afford to see these principles being challenged. It is natural for Norway in general and the Storting in particular to wish to contribute to the positive development of Europe's new democracies. Secondly, the dialogue with Ukraine has been immensely rewarding for us also. It has worked as a timely reminder of how painful our own path to democracy was. In today's Norway, we are proud of our level of democratic development with high participation, social mobility, and equal opportunities, relatively little corruption, and a high level of gender equality. Yet that does not mean that we think we've always been perfect, that we are perfect, or that we ever will be perfect. For democracy can never be taken for granted. It's not something that simply is or can be adopted by law or statute. Regardless of where we stand on the ladder of democratic development, democracy is hard work, day after day. Consequently, our support for Ukraine is not a one-way process where we think that we can tell you what to do. It's about engaging in a mutually beneficial dialogue about how we may best cultivate and improve something that is difficult and challenging for all of us. In 2014, that is in the year of Ukraine's Euromaidan revolution, we celebrated the 200 years anniversary of our constitution in Norway. When it was written in 1814 by 112 men in my hometown, Eidsvoll, the Norwegian constitution was the most democratic constitution in the world. Today, it is the second oldest still in use, and naturally, we are hugely proud of that. But despite our fairly democratic constitution, Norway was by no means a truly democratic state in 1814. The emergence of a deeply rooted democratic culture and mindset has not been without diversions or setbacks. Another thing that history has taught us is that a truly democratic mindset must be developed from early childhood in our interaction with family and society, not least through the school system and in our universities. You, as students, play a critical role in this regard. I strongly believe that the importance of what you do, of simply studying, is growing and growing. We have seen a sad development unfolding in the world over the past few years where even truth and facts are questioned. As Ukrainians, you probably know this better than anyone. Way too often in the Ukraine conflict, truth has fallen victim to power. Yet this is a growing challenge in Western Europe as well. Not least, our digital age is changing the framework of our democracies. On the plus side, social media creates new opportunities for political activities in all parts of our population and across borders. Yet there is a risk that people only pay attention to arenas that confirm their own preconceptions, where the authors of these messages have agendas that are not conducive to the genuine exchange of opinion. Sadly, there is increasing evidence that some political leaders are now exploiting this phenomena to gain influence. Forgive me if I sound pompous, but I would say that just about your most important job as students is to seek the truth. I don't mean the kind of truth that you can hold up and say, here it is, once and for all, and those of you who do not see it are doomed. That kind of truth is called fundamentalism, with all the human suffering that entails. But the opposite side of fundamentalism, extreme relativism, is also a recipe for suffering. Having no values, questioning basic and evident facts, also opens the door for the abuse of power. So both fundamentalism and excessive relativism leads us astray. Rather, the truth you should seek as students is like that of a leading star, something that you have to rediscover again and again. You do that by increasing your knowledge, critically weighing arguments, listening to others in a respectful dialogue, while also having the courage to say a clear no when the lust for power trumps the honest search for a better society. Dear Shevchenko students, since 2014 you have experienced serious threats to your country's independence. When talking about the fight for independence, armed struggle may be what first springs to mind. But military force can only get you so far. In my view, well-functioning national institutions and a strong commitment to a democratic, open society are more important in the longer perspective. It is my belief that by working for core democratic values, for trust between the government and those governed, and for the rule of law, you also contribute to defending and strengthening Ukraine's independence. Freedom of speech is a crucial component here because political debates on social media and elsewhere are often tougher than they used to be. We must make a special effort to guard ourselves against a situation where young voices are silenced. The best defense any country can have is when its young people have a strong understanding of democracy and a willingness to defend it. It often strikes me that my 3 sons take Norwegian democracy for granted. For you, it's obviously not like that. But by studying and by engaging actively with your society, you lay the foundation for becoming your country's most important champions of democracy. I also would like to comment on the very good exchange program between the Nord University in Bodø and your university. I'm so delighted to hear that so many students participate in that program, and I really hope you find Bodø a nice and loving city in the north of our country. I would like to thank you so much for your attention, and I would be happy to take some questions. I would also like to invite my 3 political colleagues to the podium so that they can also take part in this questioning session. And maybe we can even be allowed to ask you some questions if that's possible for you. So thank you so much for listening and for attending.
Є часу для того, щоб ви мали можливість задати питання пані президенту, чи, можливо, депутатам парламенту норвезького, які сьогодні є нашими гостями. Прошу, знімайтесь, задавайте ваше питання.
Dear friends, we still have time for your questions, so if you want to ask our guests any questions, please, you're welcome.
Do you want me to introduce them? Do you want me to introduce them? Yeah. This one works. Maybe I can just briefly introduce my colleagues, if that's okay. This is Morten Wold. He's the second vice president of the Storting. This is Liv Signe Navarsete. She's a member of the Centre Party. Morten is a member of the Progressive Party. I'm a member of the Conservative Party. Liv Signe is a member of the Centre Party. She's also a member of the Standing Committee of Foreign Affairs and Defence in our Storting. And Olemic Thommessen, my predecessor as president, the godfather of the Norwegian-Ukrainian. I like to say that. I think it's actually at the core of what this is. You are the godfather of the Ukrainian-Norwegian relations and friendship that has evolved. So now you know who we are.
Dear Mrs. President of the Parliament of Norway, thank you for a great speech. My name is Bogdan. I'm part of a double degree program between Nord University and Rasichenko University. So I have a question for you, maybe your colleagues. I would like to ask you, you know, the situation in Ukraine when young people, they are willing to change something in the government, they are willing to work somewhere in the ministries, but when they go and work there, they usually face that situation where the older people, the older generations, they are ruling, and they usually they don't want to change. And I have a question: can you advise something to us how to not get lost there, how to not to become a part of that older system? Thank you for your answer.
Thank you so much. That's a brilliant question, and it's a very important question because I think we are all quite conservative when it comes to changing, right? And therefore, I think it's so important that you also take part and that the younger generation runs for parliament, that you want also to be a part of the political system, because it has to be changed from inside also. It's not enough to have a society around wanting to change. It has to happen inside also. And we have met several politicians on our visit, and I think we feel that there is a big interest in changing also how the Rada works. But it can be long work, and it can be hard work, because the there is also a lot of conservative people not wanting to change the way things are. But we feel that they have started, and they need to be pushed from, for instance, young people taking the stand and saying your opinions. Would any of you like to? Yes, Olemic?
Well, I strongly believe in a prosperous future for Ukraine. And the reason why I do so is that you have a very strong civil society. You have members or people around with very strong opinions. And because what you are asking about is really a question of, to keep going. It took Norway 200 years to develop the kind of democracy that we have. You can for sure not wait for 200 years. But when we meet your politicians, it's lots and lots and lots of reforms going on. Maybe not perfect, maybe not to the extent that you really want, but still, I think in the right direction. So the question for you would be, one, to keep up the strong work, the hard work, and also that is partly a question of demanding things in politics, but it's also a question of managing to keep two thoughts in your head at the same time. Because you have this strong neighbor in the east that tries to paralyze you, that tries to paralyze the political system. And the strongest way to fight them is not to let them succeed in that, is to build up a strong society able to give welfare to the population. And that is about knowledge, it's about education, it's about economic growth, and all that kind of things. And in the long run, I'm sure that that is the most efficient weapon to win this battle. And I'm sure that you will manage to do so, because you have all the possibilities to do so. You have a very well-educated population. You have lots of natural resources. You are placed in the middle of Europe in a way. And you have a strong will to what the direction of where you want to go. And I hope that the elections next year will underline that direction, so there should be no doubt what the goals are over there. And I would repeat, I think the strongest resource you have is a strong civil society where the people, each and one of you, knows that it's in the role of being participants that you can change this country. Because the democracy is about being a participant. Everyone, it's about how we look upon ourselves. If we look upon ourselves to be someone to do a job that as we are told to and that's it, well, then we will have what we deserve. If we look upon ourselves as people, single people that are entitled to have point of views, believing that we can change, believing that what we mean about things or opinions are valued in the big picture, then we'll win. And that's my impression of the Ukrainians. You really know the direction, you really know how to be participants. Keep on and you will succeed.
Thank you for your belief in us.
Hello, thank you for your speech. It was very great. My name is Dmitry. I'm from, sorry, I'm a student of Taras Shevchenko. I'm in program Double Diploma 2. My question is, what prospects do you see in the further development between Ukraine and Norway? I know that you created a friendship group within the parliament. Can you please tell in detail? Thank you.
Thank you. In the Norwegian Parliament, we do not have many friendships groups. Many parliaments around the world have friendships groups for all countries. We do not have a tradition for that. So I think we have 4 or 5 or maybe 6 friendship groups. We have started one. It's not big. I think we have 7 members. But the important thing is not the number, but it's the fact that all the biggest parties are represented. And what we want to do is to keep up and strengthen the relations with Verkhovna Rada, but also to, in a broader term, keep connections to Ukrainians in Norway, coming to Norway. During the years, we have received groups of students, business people, scientists, politicians, well, actually all kinds of people. And we're very happy to do so, because having a friendship group is very much about having strong knowledge about Ukraine. The Ukraine is not a country, unfortunately, that many Norwegians knows a lot about. And I think to strengthen the knowledge also gives us an increasing interest about the development in this fascinating country, because it's really fascinating to follow you, because you are in such a change, a strong change, and you seem to have the willingness to do changes, even maybe the tempo is not what you all wanted to have. But the friendship group want to follow up and to strengthen the connections on a broad term.
Thank you.
Can I just also make a small comment on that? Because alongside the parliamentary relations, it's also very important that we exchange also the relations in trade and industry. And I think also the work that your country is doing now in the reform process, working thoroughly and solid against anti-corruption, making your country more transparent, is also important for international investments in your country. And we have some Norwegian companies newly established here in Ukraine regarding renewable energy, for instance, which is very important. And that's also a very crucial and important part of our exchange, is also that alongside the political important exchange, we also need to widen up and use the trade and industry exchange, which goes alongside. And I think your country is very interesting for international investments, but the reform process are crucial in that matter. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation, but also thank you for actually being here in Ukraine and developing our further cooperation. My name is Veronica. I'm a PhD student, former master student here at Taras Shevchenko National University, but I'm a PhD student now at NUR University. So almost a product of our cooperation. I'm about to defend my thesis soon, and I'm actually writing about public sector management and financial reforms in Ukraine. So one of the questions which I would like to ask is when I was writing and collecting data for my PhD, I was interviewing several influential politicians in Ukraine. And what I found interesting is that they usually felt very suspicious of creating this trust relationship with the researcher. So my question would be like that: what kind of tips or recommendation would you have so to establish this kind of rapport with the politicians who are actually in Ukraine as a transitional economy and society are still uncertain of their actions? It's what I feel now from the researcher's point of view. So maybe you have some recommendations, which I would really appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. It's on. Of course, it's difficult to give you a perfect good advice, but I think the best thing to do is to establish a good dialogue with the politicians. Politicians are people like everybody else. We are common people elected to serve the people in Norway and here in Ukraine. And those we meet, we also learn to trust. So I think that if the students here at this university might establish some sort of dialogue group that could meet politicians from time to time, that could be the best way to get to know each other and also to get the needed trust to discuss important matters for Ukraine.
Yes.
So that's my advice. I don't have any other, but that's the way we do it in Norway.
Yeah.
We have lots of dialogue with different groups, both students and other groups in the civil society. And of course, we learn a lot. Politicians don't always know everything, and we establish relationships. That is very important, also in the day-to-day work we are doing. So,
yes.
I think you need to establish good contacts.
Yes, thank you. I do really agree with that, and from my personal experience, I also thought that. But we'll hope that you will actually influence our politicians in the parliament so they could be more open and trustworthy to researchers, not to be afraid of them. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for visiting our country and for visiting our university. Thank you for your speech, and the fact that you are all here is a big step for Ukraine and for us. My name is Alexandra. I'm a student of Institute of International Relations. It's also faculty of Taras Shevchenko University. And I would like to ask quite a serious question, I would have to say. First of all, I would like to thank you personally and to thank Norway for supporting Ukraine in a very serious question of energy sector and for supporting the transit zone of Ukraine, especially in project Nord Stream 2. That is crucial for our country now, and it's very important. Your support, as I would have to say, is crucial in today's situation. So thank you a lot from whole people of Ukraine in that. And my question is, what do you think are next steps of cooperation in the energy sector between Ukraine and Norway? Not only in that area, but also like in the energy sector in general, because this sector is quite promising, important for our economy, and I know that, of course, Norway has a big, experience in that area. And I've also visited Norway this summer in August, and I also visited North University. It was just an amazing experience, so thank you for such possibility to visit your country. Thank you.
I can try to answer. First, thank you so much for your good words to us, and thank you for the question. It's very exciting with the big projects who are now established here with wind and sun energy. I think that Norway also can and will contribute in the hydropower sector. I know there has been established contacts with the NVE, that's the Norwegian Directorate for Energy Sector, and how to build a hydropower, if possible, in the, Karpatene, what's that in English? Karpatene. Carpathians, yes. So I think that could be the next step in trying to, as I think your politician is very willing to build an energy sector more reliant on renewable energy. And that's the way to go, because you have, I think, more than 90% now on fossil fuel and atomic energy. So, I hope that you, studying here, will also be pushing this forward, because that is the future in the energy sector. And I really hope that Norway can contribute with our knowledge and have a good cooperation in the future.
It's nice to meet you. My name is Tamara, and I'm a first-year student of the master's program with the University of North also. I'm happy to welcome you in Ukraine, and I want to wish you to achieve all the goals of your visit. I have a question regarding the land moratorium in Ukraine, as our agricultural land is prohibited to buy or sell for already 15 years. And the existence of the land moratorium was recognized as the violation of international law. That's why I want to ask you if it's possible for us to keep the land moratorium in order to protect our country, and if it's possible for our economy to develop in conditions of the existence of the land moratorium. Thank you.
Can you just elaborate a bit more about the questions? We didn't quite understand.
Of course, yes. So our agricultural lands, it's prohibited to buy and sell. And a lot of people say that it poses our economy. Our economy cannot develop without it. But at the same time, we cannot just stop the moratorium because our government thinks that it protects our country from other countries not to buy our land. That's why it's a violation, actually, of international law. But can we keep it?
I don't know enough about it to answer properly, but I can tell you the experiences from Norway, because I know this, the Norwegian agriculture sector quite well. And in Norway, we have, there is no possibility for people living outside Norway to buy agricultural land. That's forbidden by law. It has to, most often it goes to in families, from parents to children. That's the old way. Now more farms are being sold, but they're not being sold to foreigners. And I think also that Ukraine should look into laws and try to see if it's possible you could have some of this moratorium, but maybe open up for selling a bit to people living and being from Ukraine. Because I can understand those who mean that it would put a better economy in this sector if you could have a bit of selling. But I also really understand what the government are thinking of, and also the parliament, because if rich countries have the possibility to come here and buy the best agricultural land in Europe, of course they would do it. So you have to try to find a middle way in this, because the agricultural sector is so important for your country, because you have such enormous possibilities here. So my advice would be to try and look into other countries, what they have done to keep the agricultural land on the national hands, if you say, ownership, but still have a possibility to sell to those who want to use it for producing.
Thank you for your advice. Thank you.
I'm sorry, but I think we have, do we have to wrap up? Do we have to? We can take one more question, that's good. We could have been here all day, actually. Thank you.
Dear Mrs. President and dear members of the Parliament, my name is Natalia. I am Associate Professor at the Faculty of Economics. And I would like to thank you for your visit, for your speech, for your answers. They are highly inspiring for us, and it's true. And my question is in continuation of the answer of Mrs. President about the reforms in Ukraine. As you know, we are for 27 years in the process of reforms, and the question is about harmony and equilibrium. We are always up to the international experience, but Norway has taken its own way in reforms. And we are thinking maybe we should do reforms made in Ukraine. So what is the equilibrium between an international experience and reforms made in Ukraine? Thank you.
Well, thank you for the question. Of course, your country has experienced the need to do quite a lot of reforms. The difference between Norway and Ukraine is, as Mr. Olemic Thommessen said, we've had 200 years to build our democracy, to build our society, the civil society, and how to let democracy work. What we've learned these 2 days on our visit is that the reform process are more or less within all sectors. And of course, that's also difficult to reform with a very high pace, very high tempo, and at the same time give services to the people, because we all need healthcare, we all need schools, we all need these things to function every day, and you also do the reform work. And of course, the situation with the conflict in eastern Ukraine and the annexation of Crimea also is difficult for your country, so you have to do both things at the same time. To give any, I don't think we should give any advices. I think Ukraine has to you have to do your reforms the way it will work best in your country. For us, it is important in Norway, when we do reforms, the main object is to make better services for the people. We always, as politicians, we have to remind ourselves every day that what we decide in Parliament, whether it be a law or any other kind of proposal, we have to solve real problems for real people. We cannot make policy statements that do not really change. We want to change the situation for real people. And I think that's the most important object also for your government and for your parliament, to remember that they have to, with the reforms, solve real problems for real people. And we want to give our support, give our advices, as long as you would like to have them. But the reform process has to be done in your Rada and in your government. And I hope that all you young people here, since we are also wrapping up now and we have to catch the plane back to Norway, I hope you participate. I hope you stand up. I hope you raise your voice, and that you do, as Mr. Olemic Thommessen said, take part. Be active. Thank you.
Thank you.
Шановні друзі, студенти, викладачі, співробітники, на жаль, час нашої зустрічі вичерпаний. Не так багато в нас його було, але я думаю, ми мали можливість поспілкуватися і з президентом парламенту Норвегії, і з її колегами, депутатами парламенту. І саме цікаво, що відверто відбулася, на мою думку, тепла, щира розмова.
Dear friends, unfortunately we are pressed for time, but I'm happy that we had the opportunity to have President of the Norwegian Parliament here and the members of the delegation. So we would like to thank them again for their participation here today.
Я думаю, що буде правильно. Давайте ми подякуємо щиро і пані президента, і осіб, які супроводжують її колег, по-перше, за розуміння проблем, які сьогодні хвилюють Україну.
And first of all, I would like us to thank our guests for their understanding of our problems and challenges that our society faces, which is important for us to feel this support.
За їх волю до того, щоб покращити цю ситуацію на Україні, за ту підтримку, яку ми відчуваємо, які щойно були заявлені тут із цієї високої трибуни, у вирішенні України тих непростих завдань, які сьогодні перед нею стоять.
And I would also like to thank them for their will, for their desire to help us along this difficult way in this very challenging times, and for their support which was shown to us today and in their overall activities here in Ukraine.
Шляхів, звичайно, тут дуже багато.
And there are lots of ways to do that.
Але все буде залежати від подальшого зміцнення дружби, співробітництва між нашими державами і народами.
But everything will depend on further strengthening of friendship and cooperation between our nations.
І ми, наш університет, університет насамперед Норвегії, є активними учасниками цього процесу.
And first and foremost, the university, Nord University and Taras Shevchenko University are active participants in this process.
Тож дозвольте побажати доброго здоров'я, подальших успіхів в такій відповідальній діяльності пану президенту парламенту.
And I would like to wish all the best to our guests, to the President of the Parliament and to the distinguished members of the delegation,
Її колегам.
her colleagues,
Подякувати за цю зустріч.
to thank for this meeting.
Хотілося б сподіватися, що вона не остання.
We hope that this won't be the last
Ми
one.
завжди раді вас бачити в нашому університеті.
And we will be really happy to welcome you back in our university.
А дружньому народу Норвегії щастя і процвітання.
And to the people of Norway, all the best, happiness and prosperity.
На згадку про нашу зустріч хочу від вашого імені вручити пані президенту такий сувенір наш університетський, де зображений наш червоний корпус, який дуже сподобався.
To give this souvenir to Ms. President on behalf of our university.
Thank you so much.
Це для дому.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much.
Щиро дякую всім за участь у нашій зустрічі.
Thank you all for participating.
Фото, обов'язково. Thank you very much.